100 crowns. 100 final moments. Some were quiet and gentle. Some were sudden and cruel. Some are still a mystery. If you love true royal history, stay with me to the very end, because the last stories will change how you think about power, fate, and the price of a throne. Watch till the end so you don't miss the twists, the echoes, and the names you thought you knew but never really met. Hit play in your mind, and let's walk through time together. First, we begin with the queens who slipped away in old age, surrounded by memories rather than battles. Elizabeth II, after a lifetime of duty, died on September 8, 2022, with old age listed as the official cause on her certificate. No drama, no storm, just the end of a very long road. The Queen Mother, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, also left this world at a great age, the last page turning in peace. Wilhelmina of the Netherlands died at 82 from heart failure, after seeing her country through 2 world wars. Margaret of Provence, wife of France's King Louis IX, died in her 70s of natural causes, remembered for her quiet strength during harsh times. Maria Feodorovna, the Danish princess who became Empress of Russia and mother to the last Tsar, outlived her empire and died in exile at 80, a long life ending far from the palaces she once knew. These endings are soft footsteps, no headlines, but a full life lived. Many queens died of illnesses that were common, simple, and deadly before modern medicine. Pneumonia was ruthless. Maria Theresa, the great Habsburg ruler, died at 63 after chest illness and fever, a strong mind trapped in a failing body. Louise of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, the beloved Queen of Prussia, died young at 34 after pneumonia, her image turning from bright hope to national sorrow overnight. Elizabeth of Russia also died after years of poor health, a court of glitter hiding the truth that breath and body can fail any of us. Tuberculosis, called consumption in older times, took Neville, queen to Richard III, at only 28, an age when life should be opening, not closing. And in Sweden, Ulrika Eleonora caught smallpox and died at 53. The same disease also took Mary II of England at just 32. A crown cannot stop a fever. A royal name cannot block a cough. Some deaths were the price of childbirth, the most human and the most dangerous work of a queen. Isabella of Hainaut died at 19 after bringing new life into the world, a victory and a loss in the same night. Maria II of Portugal died at 34 during labor, a young ruler who tried to push her country forward and never got to see the future she dreamed about. Constance of Castile also died from childbirth complications, a reminder that even palaces could not shield a mother from risk. Catherine of Valois, widow of Henry V, died at 35 after illness linked to childbirth, leaving behind lines of blood that would shape England for generations. Jadwiga, Saint Hedwig, of Poland died at 25 after giving birth, loved by her people and mourned as a light gone too soon. So many queens were praised for duty, but behind that word sat pain, fear, and days that ended far too early. Some deaths were not slow. They were sharp, public, and final. Marie Antoinette met the blade in 1793, only 37, the cheers of a crowd louder than any prayer. Anne Boleyn was beheaded at 35, a single stroke that rewrote English religion and royal marriage forever. Catherine Howard, barely 18, was executed less than 2 years after her wedding day. Lady Jane Grey, the 9 Days Queen, died at 17, a soft voice trapped inside a storm of adult plans. Mary, Queen of Scots, lost her life at 44, a queen whose story runs on betrayal, hope, and a long last walk. Even far from London, the same cold end came. Alexandra Fyodorovna, the last Empress of Russia, was shot with her family in a basement in 1918, a crown shattered in darkness. These deaths were not illnesses. They were decisions made by others, by courts, by enemies, by history's cruel hand. Other deaths sit in a gray space, with records that disagree or fade. Elizabeth I died at 69 after weeks of weakness and silence. Was it an infection? Was it simple age? We cannot say for sure. Anne of Cleves died at 42. Many historians think cancer, but the records do not name it. Claude of France died at 24 after many pregnancies. Was it childbirth, infection, or a slow sickness? The paper trail is thin, but the loss is clear. Zenobia, the queen who dared to challenge Rome, may have been killed, or she may have lived out her days far away. Accounts clash, and time will not settle it for us. Cleopatra died by her own hand after her world fell. Was it a serpent's bite, a poison, or something else? The truth is hidden, but her choice echoes louder than any detail. Some queens died of strokes, a sudden storm in the brain that leaves no time to plan. Queen Victoria, 81, slipped away after a stroke in her final home on the Isle of Wight, ending an age that still bears her name. Anne of Great Britain also died after a stroke, her body worn down by grief and a lifetime of miscarriages and stillbirths, a personal sorrow that lay behind the laws and wars on the map. Margaret Tudor, sister to Henry VIII and Queen of Scotland, died by stroke at 51, the bridge between two kingdoms breaking without warning. A stroke is a thief. It knocks, and the door opens before you even rise from your chair. Cancers were poorly understood in earlier centuries, but the signs show up again and again. Isabella I of Castile is believed to have died from cancer of the womb at 53. Catherine of Aragon likely died of cancer too, after years of stress and defense of her marriage. Mary of Modena is thought to have died from cancer after a long illness, a quiet end after a life of exile and loss. In France, Anne of Austria suffered from what is recorded as breast cancer. In modern times, doctors might have helped them longer. Back then, there was only pain, prayer, and time. Heart problems and dropsy, what we now call swelling from heart failure, also wrote many last lines. Maria Cristina of Spain died at 70 from heart issues linked to angina. The heart that held a nation's worries finally gave out. Mary of Guise, Regent of Scotland and mother of Mary, Queen of Scots, died after long illness with heavy swelling. Caroline of Brunswick died at 53 after years of stress and scandal. The cause is unclear, but the heart can only carry so much weight. Augusta Victoria, last German empress, died at 62 from a heart attack, a quiet end after a noisy life. Plague and smallpox hunted queens the same as anyone. Joan II of Navarre died during the Black Death in 1349. Isabella of Jerusalem, only 33, died during an epidemic as well. Sibylla of Jerusalem died of disease in a besieged city, the sickness moving faster than prayers could travel. In other places, scarlet fever took Caroline Matilda of Denmark at only 23. Smallpox killed Isabella of Parma at 21. A crown could sit on the brow. It could not stop a germ. Some queens died by hidden hands, poison, plots, or accidents that looked like plans. Agrippina the Younger, mother of Nero, was murdered on the order of her own son, a family turned into a weapon. Joanna I of Naples was strangled by hired killers, a night full of whispers and a morning full of shock. Bona Sforza, queen in Poland and duchess in Italy, was widely believed to have been poisoned for her wealth, though proof is murky. In Belgium, Queen Astrid died in a car crash at 30, a young mother and a nation's joy gone before anyone could say goodbye. In Nepal, Queen Aishwarya was killed in the 2001 palace massacre along with many members of the royal family, a modern tragedy that felt like a tale from a dark age. Not every royal death is fate. Some are choices made in the dark. There are queens whose last days were spent far from the thrones they once held. Isabella II of Spain died in exile in 1904, sick with influenza, her crown long gone but her name still hot to the touch. Victoria Eugenie, Queen of Spain by marriage, died in 1969, also in exile, a life that moved from palaces to rented rooms and hotel halls. Liliuokalani, last Queen of Hawaii, died of a stroke after years of loss and house arrest, the fall of a kingdom heavy on her shoulders. Ranavalona III, last Queen of Madagascar, died abroad after her throne was taken, a queen in name only, a woman alone in a foreign land. Power leaves quickly. Memory lingers. Now let's visit queens whose lives were long but not easy, whose ends were calm even if their years were not. Eleanor of Aquitaine, Queen of both France and England in different chapters, died at a great age after outliving kings, wars, and family storms. Blanche of Castile, the sharp and steady mother of Louis IX, died after a full life of rule and hard choices. Eleanor of Castile, wife of Edward I, died on the road, the king marking each stop of her last journey with stone crosses, a love letter in rock for all to see. Eleanor of Provence died in her 60s after long years of widowhood, a queen who outlasted the noise. Matilda of Flanders, wife of William the Conqueror, died of illness after helping build a new order in England. Time, in the end, was the only enemy they could not outthink. Across Europe, queens met the same old dangers: fever, birth, infection, and war. Isabella of France, the she-wolf, died of natural causes in her 60s, long after she helped pull down her husband's rule. Philippa of Hainaut, kind and steady, died after illness and left a king, Edward III, who mourned her deeply. Anne of Bohemia, wife of Richard II, died young of an unknown disease. People cried in the streets when they heard. Catherine of Braganza, queen in England but Portuguese to the bone, died after a quiet retreat home, her body tired and her story gentle. Marie Leschinska, long-serving Queen of France, died after a slow illness, prayer beads worn smooth in her hands. Farther afield, queens also faced the edge with courage. Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba died at about 80 after fighting, negotiating, and ruling like a force of nature. Illness finally did what armies could not. Soraya Tarzi of Afghanistan, a champion for women alongside her king, died in exile after illness, a bright plan cut short but not forgotten. Melisende of Jerusalem died at 56 after a stroke and a long struggle to keep power and peace. Tamara of Georgia, a legend in life and in death, passed around 1213. The cause was not written down, but the love of her people was. In England and Scotland, the Tudor and Stuart circles spun fast and hard, and death walked close. Catherine Parr, Henry VIII's last wife, died of childbed fever at 36, her mind sharp to the end. Catherine of Aragon likely died of cancer, dignity her last shield. Elizabeth Woodville died in quiet after years of fear and loss, the princes in the Tower never far from her thoughts. And of Denmark, wife to James VI and I, died after long illness. The courts were grand, but sick rooms are always the same. Henrietta Maria, wife to Charles I, died in France after years of exile, a queen who lost everything and still held her head high. France could bring both glory and grief. Maria Theresa of Spain, wife to Louis XIV, died from infection and abscess. She bore heavy pressure with a gentle heart. Louise of Lorraine, queen to Henry III, died a widow in deep grief and quiet illness. Margaret of Valois, brilliant and bold, died after long sickness late in life, her stories filling books and plays even as her body failed. And of Brittany died at 36, likely from a kidney stone attack, a second-time Queen of France whose body simply said, "No more." Marie de' Medici died after a long life of plots and art, swelling and breathlessness slowing her step before it stopped. Spain saw queens who felt both thorns and flowers. Isabella I died likely of cancer, a body cost that even empire could not stop. Joanna of Castile, called the Mad, died at 75 after years of confinement. The cause is unclear, but the sadness is clear enough. Maria Cristina de Bourbon died after a long illness, the weight of a regency etched into her face. Isabella II, as we said, died in exile with influenza, a queen to the end in name if not in power. You may be asking, were there queens who simply faded, without rumor or plot? Yes. Adelaide of Saxe-Meiningen, wife to William IV of Britain, died in her 50s after pneumonia, kind to the last. Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, wife to George III, died of pneumonia too, a loyal partner through sickness and storm. Mary of Teck, wife to George V, died at 85 after illness in her lungs. 2 world wars had not broken her, but the body knows its limit. Alexandra of Denmark, wife to Edward VII, died in her 80s after a heart attack, the bright Alexandra look closing with her eyes. Fabiola of Belgium, modern and beloved, died in 2014 in her 80s, a gentle end to a long public life. There were also queens whose deaths changed more than a family, they changed a map. Cleopatra's final act ended a dynasty and opened the door to Roman rule in Egypt. Alexandra Fyodorovna's death was one sign among many that an old world was collapsing. Liliuokalani's death left only memory to hold the Hawaiian crown. When a queen dies, it is never only personal. A whole country shifts, even if only a little. We should also face the hard truth that many causes in old records are guesses. Words like dropsy, fever, or consumption hid all kinds of diseases. Some queens may have had cancers that had no names yet. Some died from infections that today a simple pill would beat in a week. Some were said to die of grief, which likely meant the heart and body failed after loss and stress. But even if the labels are fuzzy, the human story is clear. Pain is pain. Courage is courage. Love is love. Think of the different ways these lives ended, and what they say about the world each queen faced. Childbirth showed how much was demanded of royal women. Executions showed how dangerous a court could be. Plague and smallpox showed how fragile a kingdom was against nature. Strokes and heart failure showed that even the most powerful body has limits. And old age showed that sometimes the reward for service is simply time. Time to say goodbye, time to drift away without fear. Before we close, let's bring a few more names into the light, each with a last note that still rings. Isabella Farnese of Spain died in her 70s of natural causes, but her plans shaped a line of heirs. Caroline of Ansbach, wise and witty, died from a bowel obstruction that no doctor could cure. And of Austria fought breast disease and lost, but kept France steady as regent before that. Barbara Radziwill, Queen of Poland, died young of a sickness thought to be cancer. Her love story with the king became legend. Amina of Zaza, a warrior queen in Hausa tradition, is said to have died in battle. If the tale is true, she met the end she chose, with a spear in her hand and dust under her feet. Ranavalona I of Madagascar died of illness in old age after a harsh rule that still sparks debate. And Soraya Esfandiari of Iran, a modern queen consort with a modern heartbreak, died in Paris of heart failure, a life of beauty turned quiet and small at the end. So what do these 100 endings teach us? That crowns are heavy. That love of country does not protect the body. That a young queen can burn like a star and then vanish in a single night. That an older queen can outlast wars and still go softly, like a candle that knows when the room is warm enough. That causes of death are only one part of the story, but they are the last line, and last lines matter. If you stayed with me till now, you can feel the shape of it, a long road made of small steps, laughter in great halls, whispers in dark corners, long rides in winter, babies born, papers signed, hands held, prayers said, and then one quiet breath. Some fell to the sword or the court. Some to illness. Some to time. But each one was a person before she was a symbol. Each one had a voice. Each one had a last day. Thank you for watching to the end. If this look into the real lives and real endings of famous queens moved you, tap like so more people can find it, and share it with someone who loves history as much as you do. Tell me in the comments whose full story you want next. Do you want a deep dive on the Tudor queens, the queens of Jerusalem, or the last queens of empires? And if you want more true stories told with care and respect, make sure you subscribe and keep the bell on. We will meet again soon, and until then, remember, behind every crown is a human heart, and every heart, even a royal one, has a final beat.